Hello everybody, welcome back or just welcome to the channel. My name is Ben, and today we're going to be transforming this German Foxhole. Now it is in 1/3 scale, and unfortunately, stupid me did not take any pictures before I transformed it. So yeah, that's not great. But just for an idea of how it was, basically there was zero equipment. The figure wasn't there. The camouflage netting wasn't there either, and there wasn't any elevated ground, like the dirt that they dug up. So it was completely bare, and yeah, it was pretty bad. But today we're going to be transforming it, and I think it should be pretty good. So yeah, in any case, I would greatly appreciate it that if you learned something or enjoy this video, give it a like or something, or subscribe, whatever. But in any case, thank you for clicking on the video, and yeah, let's get into it. So starting out, we're going to be fixing that issue of the elevated ground, or the dug up dirt. So I'm just making a dirt mixture here, which is sort of semi-coarse, as you're seeing here on your screen. And just to add some flavor as well, I grabbed a very small root that I found in the ground, and I just cut up some pieces and added in there. Now, this was barely noticeable in the end, but every little bit counts, I guess. But yeah. So here is sort of the only footage I have before I transformed it. See, I no elevated ground or anything, so we're just adding it there first, and trying to get a natural shape. In the end, I ended up like sort of plucking at it with some with a paintbrush. And to fix it in place, we have some soapy water first. This acts as a sort of spreading agent for the scenic glue that we're going to add in a second. So just using an eyedropper, I slowly added in. Yeah, like I said, this is a so-called spreading agent. I don't know the science behind it, but basically when you add the scenic glue, which will be in the next scene, it sort of helps spread it. Whereas if you don't do it, if you don't add this or isopropyl alcohol, it sort of beads up. Now here is the scenic glue. If you want to see how I made it, I have a video about it. The link will be in the description, or there will be a card here as well. So as you can see here, also using the eyedropper, it spreads surprisingly nicely. Whereas, like I mentioned, without the soapy water or isopropyl alcohol, whichever one you choose, it sort of beads up and dries in a ball on top of the soil, and it doesn't actually go in. Then once that's dry, you can see there's some discoloration. So we're just gonna give it a paint job with some burnt umber and black by Vallejo Model Air. And it wasn't an amazing paint job. I wasn't particularly happy with it, but I mainly used it just to blend in. Well, first of all, darken the colors, but also blend it in to the surrounding area. And yeah, like I said, I wasn't too happy with it. It was way too dark for my opinion, in my opinion, sorry. And so in the end, what I ended up doing was just grabbing some of my own modeling pigment, which is basically crushed up sand, and I added in some areas, and with a clean and soft paintbrush, I just sort of spread it around, and I didn't fix it in with anything because I don't really touch it much, I guess. But yeah, this, as you can see, it just helps to lighten up the colors just a tiny bit, and helps blend it in better. So yeah, I like this effect. And next for the equipment, sorry, I know we're moving fast, but military miniatures German infantry weapons set from Tamiya. Pretty good set. We have anti-tank rifle, MG34, ammo for the MG34, MP40, ammo for the MP40, and a canteen. And then lastly, we have an ammo box. And well, we also have a figure here. This is from the German military miniatures, or the Tamiya military miniatures German MG crew set. And painting this stuff, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you want a tutorial on how I paint my figures, I have 2 videos on it, both of which will be linked in the description below. And painting this equipment, it's pretty easy, to be honest. In both those videos, I show how I paint that equipment as well. And there are also painting guides on pretty much all Tamiya boxes, or pretty much any, accessories box like these from Mini Art or Tamiya or whatever brand you choose. So, as it turns out, the figure was a bit too short for the Foxhole. So what I ended up doing was grabbing a really old box that I made ages ago. Sorry, I don't have a tutorial on how to make this. It's a pretty bad box as well, but turned out to be the perfect size. So basically, what I did is I used hot glue to fix it to the wood because it is wood, and modeling glue doesn't quite work too well. And yeah, that was the perfect size. So then, adding the equipment, I just used Revell's professional contact glue, and just sort of painted on, or added it on with a brush. And it's as simple as just sticking it to the ground. The ground is as good as rock solid, especially with that glue. It solidifies, and it's almost like plastic mixed in with dirt, if that makes sense. So here it is with all the equipment down, most of the equipment. But then one more step, which I almost forgot, which is one of my favorite steps, using 0.6 millimeter wire, steel wire, and some wire cutters. I'm going to make some empty shell casings, and using a reference MG34, I look at the hole where the spent cases are ejected out, just to get an idea of the size. So this ended up being, if I remember correctly, about 1.5 millimeters long. And sorry for the shaky camera, but yeah. So basically, you cut it out, and I managed to get quite a few. I think maybe a solid 30 or 40 from a section of 10 centimeters, which, doing the math, doesn't quite sound right, but something like that. I'm not a mathematician or a scientist, but yeah. So generally, this is quite a nice effect. I highly recommend it to beginners as well. I myself consider myself slightly a beginner, or slightly like semi-experienced, but basically it adds a certain depth and detail into your diorama, and it really shows that you went that extra step, even if you don't have the necessary skills to do other crazy stuff like good figure painting and stuff like that. This shows that you did put your best into it. And if you're a beginner, either way, I don't recommend joining a modeling show, but this, if you were to do that, this does show that you at least tried. And then painting it, this is optional, because you barely notice it in the end. But I'm just using some cheap gold acrylic paint from a art supply store I found in Asia, or in Thailand specifically. And then just an old brush, painting it. And I've tried airbrushing it before. Doesn't work, trust me. And yeah, so in the end, I found out that just painting a brush is probably the best option. But yeah. And to fix it in place, I just get some more of the professional contact glue by Revell, and I put it onto a sort of dish of sorts, and with my tweezers, I just dip it into the glue, and yeah, it's pretty This step at first is pretty easy. Eventually, once there's glue on your tweezers and it starts to dry, it gets a bit trickier. To sort of get the casings off of the tweezers. As you're seeing here, I'm having some troubles with it, but that's always the case. You can always use sort of like a hobby knife or something just to scrape it off. But eventually, this actually fixes it in surprisingly well for the little amount of glue that you use. Yeah, so pretty easy to an extent. Just time consuming, and yeah, patience is needed. But if you're doing this hobby, either way, I think you do have patience. And now we start to move on to the camouflage netting. Now, first of all, we need to add some things that'll hold the camouflage netting up in place. So I'm just using some natural looking twigs that I found in my garden, and I'm hot gluing them in place. Again, I find that that's easiest for glue. In the end, it ended up being a bit trickier, so I had to fix it in with some some professional contact Revell glue. But in the end, it ended up being fixed down pretty well. So yeah, and so I'm adding 4 of these in each corner, and then the actual camouflage netting, you can make it out of gauze, but I'm using mine from this company called Jofix, and I have the gray netting, although it actually turned out a bit more greenish than gray. So yeah, as you can see there, it comes on these pretty solid sized sheets, and they're not super expensive either, which is nice. And so basically you lay it over and make sure that each corner is pretty steadily set into each twig, and using some scissors you just cut it to size. And so I have it cut out now, and yeah, basically all I'm gonna do is just lay it over, and I don't actually fix it in place on the twigs. I don't really see any need for that. Plus, later on, if I want to tweak the foxhole somehow later on in the process of the diorama, then I can always do that easily, and just remove the tarp, or the camouflage netting, sorry. But yeah, so as you can see, placing it is relatively easy. It looks slightly out of scale because the gravity, it's not heavy enough that gravity pulls the sides down as it would if it were, in 1-to-1 scale. So I just fold it a little bit, and that helps keep the edges down and brings it more in scale. Right on. So with that said, that is actually the end of the video, believe it or not. I know, a video that's not like an hour long. Crazy, right? But no, that is the end of the video. So here are just some pictures of the finished result as I was showing at the beginning. And yeah, this is a nice little project. I worked on it on and off for about 3 days, so generally pretty easy. The most time-consuming thing is actually waiting for the stuff to dry, but oh well. Now, before I do sign off, I want to quickly give a shout out to somebody, actually. That is Motty's Military Models. Now, Steve, he dropped a very nice comment on one of my last videos, and he's a very friendly guy, and he's been actually on YouTube doing scale modeling for ages now, years, and he does pretty much all scales and almost all genres, armor, planes, sci-fi, everything like that. So I highly recommend you guys go check him out. He has a great channel, great YouTube videos as well. So link will be in the description. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, everything like that. You can even share it with a friend who's working on a Foxhole. I don't know. It's a very oddly specific thing to be working on, but still, nonetheless. So yeah, and if you do want more frequent updates on my projects, you can follow my Instagram right here. Yeah, any and all support is appreciated. But yeah, in any case, thank you for clicking on the video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Farewell. Stay safe. Have a great day, week, month, and year. See you guys.